welcome, welcome, welcome to the Master Key system. And we always begin everything with spiritual mind treatment, so take a deep breath, close your eyes if you want to. Nobody cares. The important thing is to know. Not to do, not to look, but to know. And what we know is that there is only one. We can call it a power or a presence. We can call it light, life, love. We can call it that creative essence. Whatever it is all that there is. And so we move to the world within. And we open to that greater reality than we could ever see in the world without in time and space. We open up to that greater something that we are a part of and that we are. That is the important thing to know. Always, always, always. That there is only one. And since there is only one, then that is what we are. And so we open up a little bit more to the idea that we are a spiritual being. We are a being of light, a being of love. We are powerful beyond our wildest dreams. We are amazing. We open up to that experience and expression of us. And we don't need to have a lot of form to it. We don't need to make it look a certain way. It is just our essence. It is our nature. We are amazing. And then we move into the clarity of our lives by knowing that we always have more than enough. We are made out of love. We have lives of peace and joy and success in every area because we know that in the world within. And we know that our thoughts are creative and are supported by all of life. And they come into form in wonderful ways. And so even before we hold it in our hands, we are grateful. We are grateful for always having more than enough. We are grateful for an amazing life. We are grateful for the love and the light and the awareness that we are one. And then we just let this go because it's already done. We've done the work. It's not about doing. It's not about looking. It is about being and knowing. So we've done the work. We let it go. We let life do its thing. As together we say, and so it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Come on in. This is my new mic. Am I a little loud? Is it a little hot?
It sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, good. I'm just not used to hearing myself in this room without funny noises. So yay, really. So wonderful. So we've talked about some important things over the last couple of weeks. Is there anybody in the room for the first time? Hi, Terry. Terry, you've gone all the way through Prac 1. So we've talked about some really wonderful things over the last couple of weeks that were in your book, but that I elaborated on quite a bit more. And so he talks about not putting your energy on that which you do not want to have in your life, not talking about it. He talks about using denials, which was early metaphysics stuff where you say that has, disease is neither person, place, nor thing. That has no roots in my life. That has no roots in existence. That is a shadow. That is an illusion. And then you move into affirming that which you want to have in life. So we talked about that a couple of weeks ago by moving our thoughts into a conscious affirmative stance where we learned how to do affirmations, and everyone had an affirmation to do during the week. And I asked you to do it 1,000 times a day. Why? So you wouldn't have time to think about that which you didn't want to experience. Remember that? Mm-hmm. The purpose of that is to stop telling everybody about your problems, to stop breathing life into them, to stop resurrecting them from their natural demise. And so we learn how to train ourselves to talk and to think and to experience life in a very positive way by repetition. And that doesn't mean you have to do that for the rest of your life, but certainly if you're repeating yourself on the negative limiting side, you want to flip that over and to train yourself to have that done on a positive, affirming side. And then last week, we talked about the difference between the absolute and the relative, and the to me, by me, through me, as me. And that whenever we are focusing on a person, place, or thing, which is from Troward, if your purpose is contingent upon any person, place, or thing, you have descended to the level of secondary causation, and that is the level of doubt, fear, and limitation. So if you're looking for a thing, if your whole existence is contingent upon this contract going through, or this job that you have, or having something, or even your own identity. You know, the whole empty nest syndrome is all about what do parents and stereotypically mothers do when their kids leave. Who are you if you're not your child's mother? Who are you if you're not your job? Who are you if you're not your gender, your age, your education, your story? Who are you? So if anything you're holding on to for any reason, that's secondary causation, and we all do it, but that is the realm of doubt and fear and limitation. So we use that to springboard from secondary causation is the relative, and it is to me, by me. And we use that to springboard into saying, let's look a little bit more on the realm of first cause or the absolute, which would be the attributes of the divine: peace, power, beauty, joy, love, light, wisdom. And that is our nature of being. So instead of wanting to get something, we want to be something. And not be in terms of our outer experience or expression in life, but who are we in the world within, as Charles Haanel says. So we covered really big ideas over the last couple of weeks, and before we jump into another really big idea, I want to check in with you and see how you are doing with that. I mean, personally, I thought they were profound weeks. So how are you with that? How has anyone in this room been able to shift their focus of their thoughts and their words from a more negative, limiting viewpoint of the world to a more, doesn't have to be, we don't have to be enlightened, but to a more positive and more expanding viewpoint of the world? Has anybody been able to do that? Margaret?
I've noticed that my constant thinking or topics are more on the positive side, and even in my dreams, I'm dreaming of the house that I'd love to be living in, and I'm dreaming of it like I'm living in there. The white
Wonderful.
wood with glass, and I have a saltwater lap pool, and an enclosed area where I can go any time of the year. But I've been dreaming of that in my dreams, like I'm living there already.
You are.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yay. Michaela.
One thing that I really did, I was sick this weekend, and I was thinking, as I was doing my thing, meaning throwing up, I was literally doing that, and I was saying, in my mind, I am well, I know that I am vibrant health.
Wonderful. Who else? Olympia.
Well, I've been having issues with the time or limiting. So I'm like, I don't have enough time for my music. I haven't had enough time, so I'm like, no, I gotta shift. Let me shift that. I have more than enough time. There's always enough time to work on everything that I need to take care of. All my tasks are in order, everything's in place. And so today I was exercising, and I was doing some stretches, and I can't explain it, but my body began to make music. And within 30 minutes of the workout, I have a little tape recorder that I keep, and I have those aha moments. I have 3 chants of my own originals that I came up with just in my head by doing those movements, and the music just flowed.
Wonderful, wonderful. Who else? Darcy?
I think I had mentioned that I'd become really frustrated at work the early part of the year because I had so much going on and the workload was frustrating me. So I decided if I'm that powerful person that I keep telling myself I am, that I can do anything. And so I let go of a lot of frustration and some resentment and decided just to go with the flow and let things happen and know that everything's going to get done in the way it's supposed to get done. So
Is that happening?
Yeah.
Yay, yay, yay!
I got a really great review at work today, and they were complimenting me on my contribution to the department, so I think it went pretty well.
Wonderful, wonderful, Darcy. Judith?
It's funny, you know, I was doing those affirmations and stuff, and it helped a lot. And listening to John's talk yesterday, I had a big moment of clarity about how much in judgment I am and that I can't get into. And it kind of woke me up, and today I was more able to shift instead of being in judgment, just kind of keeping as much positiveness that I could. So it's kind of like a linear type of awareness that's like coming in spurts and stuff, so.
Good.
Today was my first day at work, and I had
Congratulations.
orientation, and they told me before I started working that I would be with a lot of Spanish speaking people, and there's a barrier because like a learning curve, they were training me and like my comprehension, a lot of times I take things literally, and let alone being able to understand somebody from another language, so, but I just, I made light of the situation, I joked, I made friends with the people, and, I turned lemons into lemonade, and really had a good day. It was intense at times, and I attribute that to my relentless saying my affirmations and visualizing myself in the way, like in the aspect, the way you told us to view ourselves as being the light or carrying the torch or whatever, the light bearers, and I just turned lemons into lemonade and made it.
It was just last week that you sat here and you were affirming and claiming that job.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good, good, good. Who else? Susan?
Simple, I feel well.
Yay. Great. Great. Miriam?
Since I retired and moved here, I have felt like I was what you were talking about. I don't know who I am because I had a good life with what I did. I did what I always loved to do. And I was self-employed, so I got up in the morning to my plants and watering, and then I had the jobs. I was always second in the afternoon. Not recommended, but I did it that way. So I got into winter, and I didn't want to get up the next morning. In fact, I dreaded to wake up. Morning is coming, and what am I going to do? And every night, I cannot wait to go to sleep so we can read again. This is the best thing I ever read, and along with that, I think I could both have, I concise something for a change. That's the only two things I wanted to say. The excitement, well, and as to who I am, yes, I'm still gonna be gardening all the time, and winter is not it, but I'm coming up with ideas faster and faster of how I can prepave my way for next winter. I
Good
don't
for
think
you.
this is off. I want this clear on top, clear on the walls, on the back of the house, so I can sit there and let the snow fall all around me, and I'm gonna love it.
It really is all about that happens inside of our head. Our whole life is about what happens inside of our heads. Charles Haanel says that it's the world within, inside of our heads, and the world without. And the world within always precedes the world without. The world without is always following the world within. So if you can master the world within in any way, shape, or form, Esther Hicks says just think about something that will raise your vibration, that's a higher feeling thought. You know, and I like to joke about chocolate milkshakes. Just think about something. Think about anything that will change the world within and bring you to a higher vibration, make you happier, make you clearer, make you more open, and then that will affect your world without. Anybody else? Darcy, Rick, and then April.
I was just saying and thinking to myself how diligent we need to be at all times about the things that are going on in our head, because as much as I've worked on doing spiritual mind treatments and affirmations and everything, every once in a while these really odd, out of the way thoughts will pop in about doubts and fears, and I wonder where on earth they come from, because I work affirming so much good in my life and it really amazes me when these little thoughts pop in. It's like, okay, let's go to work on this again and let's dig this thing out. I mean, you just constantly have to keep moving forward and being aware of these things and changing them
And to be okay with that. If we have ourselves set up that somehow we're supposed to be so advanced that we never have a limiting thought. You know, I think that if you're on the planet, you're still working on it. And it's okay. You're supposed to be working on it. But if we set ourselves up, maybe like a whole bunch of past experiences, we set ourselves up to reach something that we will never reach. It's called an idealized expectation. Then we will fail and then we beat ourselves up. So let it be okay. Oh, wow, here we go again. Huh, last time I created this, it looked completely different. Or last time I created it, it looked exactly the same. And I know what to do, and I'm okay with all of this. So don't set yourself up on top of all of that to make yourself wrong for doing what we're all doing.
No, but that's the thing, and that's what I'm doing, is moving forward a lot faster than I ever used to, because in the past it used to create all this drama inside, and now it's like, okay, you just got to keep working on this one a little bit more, Darce, let's keep going. So it just, I'm going with the flow more, I think, a lot
Right.
more.
I like to think about it coming up and coming out to be released, and the only time I see it is when it's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather have it come out instead of still be stuffed down there.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
they-
many times we look at ourselves spiritually and say, we should be, and that's the same old game, Darcy.
But then we say, you know, well, you took 3 steps forward, you only stepped back 1, you're still 2 steps ahead of where you were, so
Right.
pat yourself on the back.
Right, and even if we took 5 steps back, we'd still be okay. Yeah, good. So it was Darcy, April, Rick, April, and then Troy, and then Jane.
I've been lately kind of disciplining myself when I'm driving, especially on the expressways around here. So, and spring makes it easy to do it. Looking at the trees and everything, and using affirmations about you know, the omnipresence of intelligence and beauty, and all these trees up on the mountains, you know, all the plants, everything knows exactly what to do, you know, they're all different, you know, but they know exactly what to do, and all that beauty. And I find that using the affirmations while I'm looking at all this, I don't have to geek myself up, with the vibrations to get in the mood. I mean, I'm seeing this stuff, and it's, it brings up my appreciation, and it's just a steady boost, it's great.
Springtime in these mountains is such a gift.
It is.
Yes, so good for you for noticing, smelling the roses. April?
I've been waking up at night and doing affirmations, or as I'm waking up, I'm doing my affirmations, and I also started writing affirmations, just to, particularly when I'm having difficulty keeping up with it, so it's been fantastic.
Yay!
Yeah.
What are some of your affirmations?
I feel healthy and strong, because I am healthy and strong, over and over and over again. And I am healthy, wealthy, and wise, and money comes to me easily and frequently.
Good for you. Good for you. Yay, April. Troy and then Jane.
Well, my affirmation has been unchanged for several years, and it just focuses, it's so basic, that Spirit dwells within me, I dwell within Spirit, there is no separation, I am one with all, and all things are connected to me, through me, by me.
Nice.
And from that, everything else follows. All of the other things come to me, everything else follows as long as that connection seems to be made. And being new to to Facebook, and being in an election year, I'm not political. I have not been political since 1968. I just gave up on politics until this year. And so I'm finding myself posting things and trying to express myself. And when you do that, you have to look and say, what am I expressing? There's two ways to say anything, at least. And there's a positive way and there's a negative way. And I caught myself getting carried away with being clever. And in the cleverness, it was a negative spin on something that really was so obvious. The old do not comment on the obvious. And so I caught myself, I try to now, if it's not positive, I don't want to say it. If it's not uplifting, I don't want to express it. And I don't need, and the thing about judgment, I find a lot of judgment in myself and others expressing things. And it's easy to get caught up in it. So it takes some self-checking and some discipline.
It does. I've used this presidential primary as spiritual practice to get myself where I honestly can vote for and be happy with any of them. Any of them. I can vote for any of them. I can be happy with every one of them. Because if I can't, then they own me. And I won't do that. I can be very happy with President Cruz. I can be very happy with President Trump. I can be very happy with President Clinton. I can be very happy with President Sanders. And I can be very happy with President Kasich, or whoever else may jump into the mix at the last minute. Because if I can't do that, then how can I see the presence of God in me and in everybody else? Being happy with a presidential candidate is much easier than being happy with someone who rapes and kills and tortures. And I have to be able to see that in them, or else I'm not doing my work. So I applaud you, and just throw that out there. You want to polish up the stone? Go ahead. Find a place inside of yourself where you can be happy with anybody. I mean, it's taken me a number of months, and I've actually sat there and watched primary debates and thought, I can go with that piece. I can go with that piece. I can see spirit in that person. I can go there, I can do that. And I've done it just for myself. Because so many of us right now are going against everybody but who we want, instead of being for everybody. So just throwing it out there. Jane and then April.
John talked about judgment on Sunday, and that's what I'm working on, because I realize that somewhere deep within me, there is this judge that is judging everything.
You and everybody else, Jane. You're not special that way.
Well, especially me, I am so guilty. I've been found. so
But don't
guilty.
beat yourself up for that. Just notice it.
Yeah.
Notice it and let it go. No, I'm just turning the light
I
up.
was gonna say you're going to the bathroom and I'm filming it.
I'm over here. I think I'll just take the heat down a little bit.
Yeah.
Holy.
Are you kidding?
So good for you, Jane. Good for you. April and then, yay, April, then we're gonna move on. Okay, so that's about affirming, doing affirmations, watching how your thought affects your life, and watching how when you change your thought, it affects your life. And what I'm hearing is that as you change your thought, you start getting really aware. Troy is being very aware of his subtle judgments that come out. And it gets more and more subtle. People are becoming more aware of how if they get into a pickle, then they can talk themselves out. I think that that's wonderful, because like you were saying, I think it was Susan, that this is a 24-hour-a-day, somebody over here said that, it's a 24-hour-a-day, Darcy, experience that we don't back down, we don't stop. That's why they used to say you had to be vigilant with your thoughts. And I never liked that, because I didn't like the idea that there was some part of me watching in a critical way. But what they're saying is that this idea of mindfulness and this awareness that we must develop is for the intention of continuing to bring ourselves back to where we want to go, because the rewards are huge. The rewards are that you have more time, that you have things happen that weren't going to happen when you were focusing on your problems, that you have a greater sense of awareness, and when you can start to be aware of your awareness, to think about what you're thinking about, to stop and ponder, is this the state that you want to be in? Understanding that you are at choice and completely free, that is great power. And that is the world within, and the world without simply reflects back to the world within. So there is some really big cleaning up going on the world within, and I'm very happy with the work that you're willing to do. Usually in these kinds of classes, when I ask people what they've done with their affirmations, everybody looks down and shuffles a little bit. What affirmations? But you guys have done it. You've taken it and you've run with it, and you've been able to experience the shift in your life. Pardon me?
So much better too. You
You
feel
feel better,
I
yes.
mean, I've gotten so much more creative since I've been having all this self-talk about goodness. I'm so much more creative and feeling good about it.
Yes. And you don't have to be ruled by the outer rules that rule other people. That if you have all this work to do, that you've got to be frustrated and overwhelmed and never get it done, you don't have to have that unless you have it, unless you take it inside of you. Time expands and contracts. Time is an illusion. Time expands and contracts based on your belief and idea about time. And there may be things that you think about that you've never thought about before once you decide you get to have more time. I did that at the beginning of the year. I said, I'm not going through another year with just work, go to the beach. Work, go to the beach. I'm going to have fun in this life. I don't know how I'm going to do it, because if you look at my schedule, it's work, go to the beach. Come back here, work. I said, I'm just not going to do that anymore. I don't want to live that way. I want to have fun woven into my life. I want to have free time in my life. I want to pursue things in my life. And wouldn't you know it, Margot McGeorge moved back from Florida. Margot ran our offices as a volunteer for years before she went down to Florida to take care of her brother. And then she's done taking care of her brother. She moves back up here and called me. I don't think this is confidential. Called me wanting a treatment because the job that she was supposed to start the very next day fell through. And I did the treatment, hung up the phone, talked to John. I said, I want her. I want her. It's Margot. I want her. And so I called her back and said, well, why don't you work at the center? What are you looking for? I'm looking for part-time, blah, blah, blah. It worked out perfectly. So I brought Margot on board, which allowed Nancy to pass things off to Margot, which allowed me to pass all these papers off to Nancy. Because I've long said my job is not about papers. My job is about people. My job is about you. My job is about this. This is my job. And if I'm too loaded down with papers, and I find myself, and I'm a little embarrassed to admit it, I find myself coming over to my office and getting lost in busy work that I don't need to do. I don't need to do that. And so what I've practiced is not coming over to the office. Everything's fine. You know how much I'm not there.
Only on Tuesdays.
And so I wouldn't have created a Margot, and I just put that out there for whatever's in your world. I wouldn't have created a Margot if I hadn't first decided I wasn't going to do 2016 like I had done the last 5 years. I just wasn't going to do it. Didn't know what I was going to do, but I wasn't going to do that. So that shifted the world without. And I know that when I look at a project, it can take as long as I think it'll take, or it can take as short as I think it will take. When I used to clean my house, if I thought, God, this is going to take me all day. I haven't cleaned this house in months. It's going to take me all day to clean the house. It would take me all day. And then if I said, oh, I've only got an hour and a half, I could do it in an hour and a half. And then I finally said, I'm not cleaning the house anymore. I'm going to have someone else clean the house who is doing it in their joy and in their genius. And that worked out great. Gave me more time. So when we decide that the rules of the outside don't apply to us, they don't. But so many times we think that if we need more, we have to work more. I think the worst thing we can do is get a second job because we're feeling broke. No, 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 no. That's just going to reinforce feeling broke. And that no matter how much we work, we can't get ahead. So no matter how much we work, we can't get ahead. That kind of a thing. Instead of stopping, remember we talked about the limbic brain and the reptilian reaction and the breath and the adrenaline and all of that. Instead of reacting, we can stop and take a breath and say, I know it really looks that way on the outside, but I remember that the world within precedes the world without. And so what I've done is I've taken a belief, probably came from our parents, probably through the Depression, that there's not going to be enough, that if you want a little bit more, you're going to have to really bust your butt and do a lot more labor. You're going to have to give things up to have what you want. And I've taken that belief in the world within and then I've created it in the world without. And so rather than buying into the world without, we go back to the steering wheel and say the place to change and shift is the world within. I don't care if everybody else on the planet is doing this. I don't have to. That's why we walk on fire twice a year, so that we can say anybody else would get burned, but we do not get burned. We do not have to get burned, we do not get burned. So that we can show ourselves that when we're clear inside of ourselves, even the laws of physics don't affect us. That we can have whatever we want. So I throw that out there. What is it that you're still looking to get? I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago. What do you think is impossible in your life? And the only reason that it's impossible is because you think it's impossible. And then, well, it's impossible. What, you just want me to think it's not impossible? Yeah. any breakthrough we've ever had, any athletic feat that we've broken the world record on has always been impossible. Until somebody said, I can run faster, I can jump farther, I can jump higher, I can swim longer, I can do that. And everybody else says it's impossible. I remember when the woman swam from Cuba to Key West. And it was, what, her 4th time? She had to be dragged out of the water other times. And she just kept insisting. And people kept saying, it's impossible, you cannot do it. Too many jellyfish, too many sharks, too cold water, it's not gonna happen. So, if you buy into what everybody around you is thinking and saying, and what everyone around you has thought and said, then you brought that in. Instead of buy into it, you brought it into you, and then you've created that. So learning how to shift that thinking, no matter how crazy you think it is the, in my opinion, the most powerful thing that you will ever do in your life. And then things become easy. And then things show up. And then instead of struggling your way through life, life shows up in a way that's uplifting and has ease and grace in it, and you get to do what is your genius, what is your passion, and your life completely transforms. Karen.
You know, one of the most powerful things that I've heard since I came here that I immediately started practicing, because things have been a little tense at my house and moving through some stuff, was if you want joy in your life, be joyful. And I realized I was not, because I was so focused on the problems going on.
Right, and you were dealing at the to me level of consciousness,
Yes.
waiting for that problem to change before you could be happy and joyful.
Yes, so I...
Like any sane person would think,
So
in their misery.
So I decided to, whether it's fake it till you make it or whatever, and believe it in your heart, I just started practicing. I would take a deep breath when I would get out of my car and be, okay, it is game time and I want joy in my life, so I am going to be joyful. And it really has shifted things to where things are less tense in my house. We can share some humor now.
It's hard to be tense when you're joyful.
Yes, things are still unfolding as they're going to unfold, but life is better, and I'm not so tense. And that was one of the most powerful things. And then my family, versus getting into discussions with them about why I'm making the choices I am making, which are in direct misalignment with what they think I should be doing. I've simply started saying to them, I am so grateful for your love and support, and I know you don't understand this, but it's working for me right now. And that's all I've started saying to them.
Sure, you don't have to defend what you're doing. Right, I think you're an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're an adult. You don't have to defend it.
My last birthday said I wasn't an adult.
Yeah.
But that's made those two things of just realizing that, kind of not getting involved in the discussions of all of the negativity and getting worked up about stuff, and just saying, I'm in my right and perfect place, and I'm working on, I want joy in my life, so I'm gonna be
Putting it in there. You want joy in your life,
And
put it in
grateful.
there.
Grateful for the smallest of improvements, and it's really made a big difference.
Of course, you are taking control of your state, your emotional state, and everything changes. You know, people think that they just feel what they feel. They don't. Way back in the 60s, whoever it was with rational emotive therapy showed that you think a thought before you feel a feeling. You may not know that you thought the thought. It could be so fast and so automatic that all you experienced was the feeling. This rage came up within me. No, it didn't. You decided that you were justified, that this was worth going for with all the anger you could muster, and then you pulled up the rage. We do that, and for you to decide, even though this looks like anybody in their right mind would say, oh, this is a terrible living situation you're in. Oh, it's just so awful. How are you surviving? Instead of buying into that, you're going, I'm going to feel joyous. Because if I don't feel joyous now, I may never feel joy. I'm gonna feel joy right now. So good for you, and then you feel it, yes, yes.
If you have a bad week and it's okay, you can just, work at it until you come back around to your positive thinking.
You have to.
Because it's been a little challenging week, but overall, yes, the more you practice it, I'm recognized now when I start slipping.
Good for you,
Yeah.
that awareness
Yeah.
of what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Wait a minute, what's going on? Stop everything before I go down that dark alley again. Stop everything. What am I doing? Do I want to do that? No, I don't. Well, what can I do? Well, you can feel joyous. Well, that's ridiculous. I can't feel joyous. If you don't feel joyous, it's now or never, sweetie. You better practice. And then you go, well, I'll feel a little joyous. No, yay! That's the magic of it all. And if you do that every hour, so what? Because if you don't do it, you go down that dark alley, you go down that rabbit hole. Some of us never to be heard from again. So good for you, good for you, good for you. Okay, Susan, you have your hand up. When you raise your hand, raise it for me, thank you.
I get notes from the universe from Tut, and this morning it's affirming my affirmations. It says, just a reminder, Susan, in case you forgot, in case you thought otherwise, or in case you never knew, there's nothing you can't have, there's nothing you can't do, there's nothing you can't be, okay? Signed the universe.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
That's a reminder.
So last week we talked about going from working on creating a thing, which is great to create a thing. If you need a thing, by all means create it and then move on. We went from working on creating a thing to working on how we want to be. We moved from person, place, or thing, object type, physical form demonstrations to working on how we want to experience ourselves, to experience others, to experience life. And I'm very interested in how you did with that. Oh, Eva, yay!
I'm not sure exactly if this is what you're talking about, but I think the thing that what I've read in this book so far that has really struck me the most and has just really impressed me is, he said, you can be what you will to be. And then I added, you can do what you will to do. And I realized that for me, the will is the key. And so I've been saying, I will to do something, and I noticed that it's made a shift in me, that, if I want to do something, I say, I will to do this, and it's just been amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, because that keys you into your power. And that's not willpower. We're not forcing, we're manipulating. But you have a will within you that you can use. It is why we recommend people be impeccable with their word. Well, I said I was going to be there at 7, but traffic. No. If you said you were going to be at 7, be there at 7. Make your life be in alignment with what comes out of your mouth. So if you decide that you want to have something in your life, and what you want to react to it by or default to is, oh, I can't have that, it's never going to happen, poor little me, huh? And you go, no, I will that. I will that. And it's the same use of the word in I will have that. I will to have that. I will to do that. I will to be there. To be that. There's a power within me that I'm using to say yes. And that's a very empowering experience in you. I talked to you about Roberto Assagioli's book, The Active Will, the night that I crashed the chair, and that one of the things was just stand on a chair for an hour every day and don't do anything. You don't get your phone, you don't get a book, you don't get to have the TV on. You do it because you said you would. Because you were using your will, the active will, not the active willpower. I'm going to make this, I'm going to force it, I'm going to work a deal with everybody I can figure out to do. No. Just whatever it is you choose to do, that you have that within you to pull it off. And to do that, you have to practice it. So good for you, Eva. You're finding great power within you.
Yeah, it's really shifted things.
Yay. Good for you. Thank you, Margaret.
I'm using the affirmation that I am loved and supported by the universe. And I feel more confidence in myself and my place in the world. And more of, I don't know if you call it grounding or stabilizing, just more confidence in myself.
Good, and loved and supported by the universe. Yes, you don't have to have anything to prove that.
Right.
There's not an addendum on that.
It's a feeling.
I'm loved and supported by the universe because I have my new car. No, there is no because, even if you hear it from a practitioner on our stage. There is no because, there is no secondary causation. We are not living an abundant life so that we can have. That's not the way it works. We are loved and supported by the universe, period, end of story. And whatever shows up is love and support. And you claim it and call it that, and that's what it shows up as. Otherwise, you've given all of your power to this thing. I'm loved and supported by the universe, and so I know that this thing works out the way that I think, in my limited viewpoint of what's going to be okay with me, that that's the way it's got to look. You can do that, or you can be loved and supported by the universe and be open to any and all manifestations of that, which in my experience have blown away the thing that I thought was going to make everything okay. Or I got the thing that I thought was going to make everything okay, only to find out, oh no, this is terrible. Now how do I get rid of it? But remember, if you created it, you can uncreate it. You have the power. Do you feel the difference? One is the pressure's all on you. And one is you are simply experiencing your connection with all that is, not in an airy-fairy, mamby-pamby way. You're controlling your thoughts. You're directing how you want your life to be. You know that your life is unfolding with prosperity and health and wholeness and love and joy and success, but you're not going to micromanage that demonstration in your life. So who else has used these, instead of to me, by me, the through me, as me affirmations? Instead of the relative, which has time and space, you've moved to the absolute, which is a quality of the divine. Who else is doing that? Morgan.
So in chapter 16, he states as one of the exercises, bring yourself to a realization that harmony and happiness are states of consciousness that do not depend upon the possession of things. So I just said, I'm happy and healthy, I'm happy and healthy.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter who says what. You're happy and healthy.
And it does take the pressure off. Like, I'm not going, well, how am I healthy, or how am I happy, or
right.
Why am I,
Right.
It just is.
Yes, it just is. Always has been. Always will be. You're happy and healthy. And you feel better. Remember, he goes back to saying, stop energizing, stop enlivening what you don't want. Cut it off at the roots and let it die a natural death. Even if it doesn't look dead yet. It's dying. It's gone. You've taken the sustenance away from it, and it will go. And so he's saying, pull your attention away from that, and then what are you going to put it on? Put it on your nature. Put it on your essence. Put it on who you are. Put it on your connection. Put it on that something that's moving through you and lifting you up. And then you don't have to worry about, well, did I do it right today? Oh my God, it's 10 o'clock and I'm not enlightened yet. What am I going to do? We do that. We beat ourselves up. Well, here I am again. I must have screwed up. No. It's coming up to go out. That's all that's happening. Let it go. Let it go. And so when you open up and focus on these, I don't want to be linear, but I will, hierarchical. When you focus on these higher affirmations, these higher concepts, these higher vibrations, we'll throw it on that, concepts, then you are lifted up. You feel higher. You feel better. And then all of the little pieces of life, the world without, come into form in alignment with that feeling great. What is your bank account going to look like if you're feeling fantastic?
Awesome.
It's going to be an awesome bank account. What is your bank account going to look like if you feel horrible and small and wrong? Empty. It is gonna be icky, it's gonna be empty. How about your relationships? If you're feeling like you're a victim and someone can hurt you and you've gotta defend yourself all the time, what are your relationships gonna be like?
Defensive.
What?
Defensive.
Defensive. They're gonna be horrible relationships. And what about when you feel like there's only love? Love lifts you and carries you through every experience because you are a being of love. It is what you are, and all you can see is love. What are your relationships going to be like? Loving. Same person. Same person. That's the key. People think, well, as soon as I ditch this loser and find this hunk, then I can love. No. That's going to turn into the same loser that you just ditched because you're the one with the loser. So you've got to find it in yourself. And I recommend that you raise your vibration to that of things that never change so that you're not hooked into whether or not the Maserati has shown up in your driveway yet. And if it hasn't, you feel like a spiritual failure because you didn't manifest it just like that. When you know that you are surrounded by beauty, that life supports you in every way, that you live in an abundant universe, and that every moment of your life is a delight, then somebody drives up with a Maserati or whatever the equivalent of that is in your world. They do because that's in alignment with how you're feeling. But you didn't go for a thing, you went for a state. And you are the one who controls your state. You do anger, resentment, frustration. You do love, joy, happiness. You do those emotions. They don't do you, you do them. So if one set of emotions is going to instantly make you feel better, and if that's going to set in motion through this spiritual law of the universe, the materialization of the result of that vibration, don't you want to make a smart choice? Drink some smart water, get some smarts. Stop choosing to go unconscious and to create problems. Start choosing to think a different thought, to feel a different feeling, to have a different sense of life, and then watch how the solutions show up. Somebody was talking last week about being in some kind of negotiations, legal negotiations, and that what they wanted to do was to be at peace. And I said, that's brilliant. Because the only way you can be at war on the outside is to be at war on the inside. And the only way you can have peace on the outside is to have peace within. And who cares how the peace comes about? Well, does it mean that you have to pay? Does it mean that it's lifted? Does it mean that they find out some other information? Who cares? Whatever is required to bring about the peace will show up because it's part of the peace. So if it is that all of a sudden the money's there and you just write a check and you're done with it, great. And if you resist that, you're not at peace. Just be at peace and watch how the things unfold. Be in love. If you're in a relationship with someone, practice loving them. Don't take that for granted. Practice loving them and watch how the love shows up. See all the couples are touching each other. It's wonderful. Relationships don't just happen. You have to do them. You have to have that happen. And you get out of life what you put in. You get out of a relationship what you put in. People say, oh, I wish I had your and John's relationship. Really? You get out of it what you put in, so be ready to put a lot in if you're going to get a lot out. If you want to be happy, you've got to put happiness out. If you want to have friends, you have to go be a friend. Well, nobody respects me. Well, you're not very respectful, either of yourself or anybody else. Otherwise, you'd have all kinds of respect.
Yeah.
Nobody's my friend. Well, you're not very friendly. If you were friendly, you would have all kinds of friends. And on and on and on. So it is the journey of mastering, it's the master key system, mastering our thought. He says thought is the master key. It is the journey of mastering our thought on a continuous level at every moment to think the thoughts that we want to live. when Chloe Ann's kids were little, and now she's bringing her great-grandchildren. But when her kids were little, and she's been in this teaching for 40, 50 years, she would go home and say something and they would say, "Is that what you want to live? Is that what you want to live?" And it's true. I hear myself say things, "Is that what you want to live? How is everything going?" Everything's going great. How's your center? My center is fantastic. I have the best center ever. I have the best people, I have the best practitioners, I have the best ministers, I have the best facility, I have the best center ever. And then I hear other ministers, they start to go off on their board and their practitioners. It's like, have you learned nothing? And I say that to them, that's why I'm not on anything. I was talking to a minister a couple of months ago, and I just looked right across the table at them and said, "You must stop lying. You're dealing with law here. You have to stop lying." And it's true. So how do you see your family? How do you see your partner? How do you see your pets? How do you see your car? How do you see your house? You know, the way you see it is how it will be. How's that car of yours? "Oh, I hope it gets me home." Well, that's what you get. My car is great. I drove a $100 car for years. Every time I would get into it, I would talk to it. It was named Stanley. And I would acknowledge that it is in complete alignment with the mechanical laws of the universe. That I loved Stanley, and it always took me where I wanted to go directly. And that it always started, and it always ran great. And I would do that before I ever pulled out the key. So that I would get clear. But I could have taken that same car and killed it overnight. How's that car? Well, my God, I think it's leaking oil and I smell something funny. And, you know, I only paid $100 for it. And probably it was on the way to the junkyard when I got it. But that's all I can afford, so I don't know what I'm going to do when it blows up. And I would have created that. You do the same thing with people. If you start picking on somebody in your world, you will drive them right away. Unless, of course, you're working with them and you want them to go away, and then you will cement their presence there by your upset. You're the one in charge. You're people in your world. And you do it with your thoughts. You do it with your feelings. You do it with your choices. And the only one that can change you is you. So it is the wonderful journey. And where it gets you is finding a you that is amazing. Finding a you that is so far beyond what you ever thought you were. You are magnificent in a little pinpoint of form. You know, you are all that is in a pinpoint of form. And how you choose to experience life on this planet is up to you. They say that when you step over, it's just beautiful and wonderful and amazing. So why shouldn't it be beautiful and wonderful and amazing here? It's up to us. Let's take a break. Yes, to learn how to be debt-free and to learn how the big kids do it, like the Red Cross and colleges and things like that, that actually go ask people for large sums of money to do stuff. Like, let's fix the creek bank out there. And instead of going into debt, college doesn't go into debt to build the library, they put somebody's name on it. I'm happy to put somebody's name on it. I know. Judith, am I on?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, Linda.
Isn't that how they built the Crystal Cathedral originally?
They did. They actually were still just a little bit short, and they had a concert right before they opened up with some famous singer. And the story goes that Frank Sinatra bought an entire row. But they said, how much do we need? How many seats are in the room? Divide it up and sell the seats. And they had somebody very famous in their day. Some opera singer. What?
It was an opera singer. I couldn't remember her name.
Right. It was an opera singer, and they just sold the seats out.
Beverly Sills.
Beverly Sills. Yes. So there are ways of doing things that, you know, that we just haven't incorporated in our culture. And I think that it's a sign of us growing up that we are going to start looking at that instead of having amazing classes and Sunday gatherings in a strip center. Not that there's anything wrong with a strip center, but if you don't want to be in a strip center, how do you get into a different space? And how do you do that without just mortgaging yourself to the hilt? So I love that the Mormons don't have any mortgages. The Christian Scientists don't have any mortgages. They never borrowed a penny. Not that there's anything wrong with borrowing money, but I think we get into this mindset of how much of a payment can we make? Like if you go to buy a car, how much is the car? Well, tell me how much of a payment do you want to make? I don't want to make a payment. I want to pay for the car. How much is the car? That kind of a thing. Or a house. Well, how much of a payment do you want to make? So we get into this mindset of how much money can we borrow instead of how can we create the prosperity and the abundance that we teach and believe in. And I have no idea, so I'm going to go learn. And who knows what will happen. It's a whole different thing. And I'm excited about it because I think that the more that we can walk our talk, both here in Nashville and all over the country and all over the world, the better our movement is, because it's no good for us to say, you can be happy and for us to be miserable. For us to say you can be healthy and for us to be sick. For us to say you can be prosperous and for us to be broke. It doesn't work well that way. I have learned from people who didn't walk their talk, but it's a better lesson from someone who is. And if we can be prosperous and happy and healthy, why don't we want to? Well, I might be embarrassed, so what? I might be embarrassed, every week, and I still get up. So what? Okay. No class next week, have we got that?
Yep.
Yes. So one of the things that Thomas Troward wrote that Ernest copied in the textbook is spirit plus nothing equals spirit. And if spirit is all that there is, if there is nothing outside of spirit, spirit is beyond time and space, so you can't go to, well, what about before the beginning? There was no before the beginning. There's only that eternal now. So well, what about beyond these universes? Spirit. Whatever you can come up with, whatever that is, it's always spirit. And so spirit plus nothing outside of itself, because if you had spirit plus something, then you would not have a oneness, you would have a two-ness, you would have duality, and time and space wouldn't hold together. So spirit plus nothing, because there's nothing other than spirit, equals spirit. So when you look at yourself, are you spirit or are you something else?
You can't be anything else.
Michaela says you can't be anything else, exactly. So what we are doing is beginning to look at ourselves as spirit. Thomas Troward, which Ernest took a lot of his stuff from, also says that in order for a whole to exist, or in order for a unity to exist, it must exist in its entirety at every point or every place simultaneously. And interestingly, quantum physics says the same thing. That in order for something, this one something, and there can only be one something, whatever you want to call it, in order for it to be, it must be in its completeness at every place or every point at every moment. And if that doesn't just crack your brain, then I don't know what's going on, because, all of spirit must exist here. And simultaneously, at the same time, all of spirit must exist here, or spirit doesn't exist at all. All of spirit must exist as you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and not one after the other. Spirit doesn't go a little bit to you and a little bit to you. It is all of spirit at every moment, in every place. And then even beyond place, which, I'm having trouble now. So what that brings us to is the the exercise at the end of part 13 on page 97 in my book, I don't know what it is in your book, when he says that you're supposed to recognize that you are a part of the whole, and that a part must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. And then he goes to say, the only difference there could possibly be is in degree, which I don't agree with. That you're supposed to practice that you're a part of the whole, and that a part must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. So the wave must be the same in kind and quality. Kind, it's water. Quality, it's salt water, as the ocean of which it is a part. The drop that's coming off the wave must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. It must be water, and it must be salty. So he's using those big descriptions to try to get you to get a sense of this. And what you're supposed to do, or what you were supposed to do at the end of that part, is to begin to sense into yourself, how can you be spirit? How can you be the same in kind? You are in like kind as spirit. Spirit is light, you are light. You know, you are that energy, that creative substance, spirit. You are spirit, the same in quality. Whatever God is, I am. Prosperous, healthy, happy, whole, joy-filled, light, love, energetic, whatever that is. Then that has to be me, because whatever God is, I am, because spirit plus nothing equals spirit. It doesn't equal part of spirit. Spirit doesn't diminish itself by individualizing as us. And how all that works, I don't know. I think we're like little points. You know, I think we're like when you put the light bulb in the shoebox and poke a bunch of holes in it, and the light comes out as little points. I think we're the point. I don't know. Why'd we come to planet Earth? I don't know. Hopefully to have a party. You know, hopefully to enjoy it, to live, to touch, to taste, to smell, to be massaged, and, you know, to play and do all those wonderful things. Hopefully we came to expand our awareness of who we are. I don't think we came to struggle. I really don't think we came to be punished. I really don't think we came to be tested. I think we came here to expand. And the only way I want to expand is expand in my level of joy. So if whatever spirit is all that it is, and if it has to show up, whether you can grasp this or not, none of us can grasp the wholeness of spirit. But if, theoretically, in order for it to be, it must be at the point of you, with all of it, right here and right now. And what does that feel like? Can you open to that? Because that's a big spiritual step. Can you open up to feel a part of you that is not your body?
Not your what?
Body. You know, we have a body, but we're not our body. We're something more. Can you open up to feel a part of you that is not even your thoughts, which is where meditation comes in? You think thoughts, but you're not your thought. Who decided to think the thought? Whoa. You say thoughts are created. Really, thoughts are effects of something that happened before the thought. Who is the thinker thinking the thought? Can you start to expand your sense of who you are? Certainly you're not your story, you're not your past. That doesn't even exist anymore. You're not your stuff. We talked about that. If you can start to begin to open up to this idea of what does it feel like, what sense can you make of this idea that all of spirit is manifest as you now. And if you can just take a little tiny piece of that, it can transform your life. It can completely shift, because then you are no longer bound by circumstances. The outer world, you are really clear, is just something after the inner world, because your inner world just got so big. So I want to ask you, if you have done that exercise? And if you have, if you would share, and if not, think about it right now. How does that feel? How does that change things? What does that do to you?
How do you describe that?
Really, how do you describe it? Exactly, talking about things that can't be talked about words with words.
I mean, I think I feel that when I'm out taking a walk through the woods and the birds are singing and the flowers are blooming and little animals are scurrying by. I think that's what it feels like. You just feel content with everything. There's an inner peace, an inner, I don't know, strength that you get. And it's just a really great feeling that you can experience all of that and feel good about being a part of it, knowing that you are a part of it, you're one with it.
So you feel a part of, you feel one with, you feel peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Connected.
Good, good,
Yeah,
good.
connected.
Yeah, that's the word.
Connected is a good word.
Lynn and then Nancy.
I feel very blissful. I feel very happy, and I feel like I'm like, oh, like it just feels really good, or I'll like start to laugh. So that's how it feels. I mean, it just feels really good. But the visualization that I get, and I get it at different times. I think when I'm dreaming, or I think about it, or it's like just in my head is, I see it like the universe, like we're all inside of one another. Like it's like the universe, and then the planet, and then us, and then like inside of us, like the cells and the atoms. They're all just like this macro, and it goes down to this like mini cosmos. So that's how I see it. And I relate it to like Dr. Seuss and like the Whoville. Like that look like that. So
That works.
that's wonderful. That's how my mind works.
Thank you, Lynn. Nancy and then Quan.
Yeah, and just that, like she said, bliss and love and connection and just expansiveness that is connected into the next person, the tree, the water. It's just all is one, and you really feel that connection to the oneness.
Thank you, wonderful. Quan.
I felt it through extreme physical exertion, like when I used to really exercise a whole lot and get my adrenaline and
Be like that runner's high.
yeah, when a runner's high, yeah, that's an example. Or maybe like somebody who likes to do extreme sports, they get, they get that rush.
Yeah, that rush, yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like you're in your body, but you're feeling.
You feel more, you feel
Feel more,
indomitable, you feel big.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Lifted.
Pardon me?
Lifted.
Lifted, yeah, I can do anything,
Yeah.
yeah. Breezy and then Judith?
It reminds me of, like when you look at the universe in the night sky, all the stars and the Milky Way and stuff like that, it looks the same when you look at quarks and stuff like that, and taking it from one extreme to the other, seeing it that way.
Have you seen the new Hubble pictures that have been released?
Yes.
Oh, man. Yes, and then you take it down to the microscopic and below that, and they look the same.
Yeah.
It looks the same, it's all the same, and here we are in Whoville.
Judith. It's okay, I'll go there with you then. I've noticed it a lot, actually since I've been here more so than anything. When I'm shooting, and for some reason, everything goes back to photography for me, it really does. Because when I'm really shooting, when I'm by myself, or even when I'm with other people, and I like hone into something, it's like I get in the zone, like we're talking about. And this calm comes within me, and my vision, my inner vision is like right there. And it's like a full meditation for me. because especially when I'm, and it is mostly, and it is always when I'm out in nature, and the sky, the birds, the moon, whatever. And for me, it is the one. I become one with what I'm seeing and feeling, and everything is right with the world.
That's great. Thank you. Olympia, Jane, Eva, do you have your hand up? No, okay. Don't fluff, I'll call
And like Judith was saying, it's like, for me, it's with music. I become it. I can't explain it, I can't describe it.
I understand that.
But it's like, I know I'm still here, you know, I'm still here, but it's like I'm not here. I am the music. And, or I am the water. 'Cause most of the time when I go into the vortex, there's water running. Somewhere in the house, there's water running, and I immediately just, and the whole room is like, I'm somewhere else. And I'm holding onto the table because I feel myself being lifted, but I know I'm still on the ground. But I become the music, and I can hear a piece from the beginning to the end in a matter of seconds, and the song is complete.
That's when you're writing it? That's a download. Right, right. John will get a book like that. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Jane?
I feel like, actually, I used to feel a lot more in the past, but that I've created it all, and that there's no boundary.
Wow.
That's an
Wow. Kayla?
I'm like that when I'm kind of like when I play a piece on the recorder that I just make up out of the blue. I'm just playing it. For some reason, it always comes to me that I'm not playing a real song, am I? Because I'm not really present. At the same time, I'm present.
The Native Americans say that you are to become as a hollow bone and let Great Spirit play through you. And
That's basically what I'm doing.
So this is all about having a sense of something greater than your day-to-day life, your thoughts on a conscious level, your tangible experiences, ideas of being lifted and being out of your body. I have to watch myself and keep myself back in my body. And when I go to the beach, and more in the past, because I know it's not good for me, but I would sit out in the sun and get really dehydrated and sit there and have the sun beat on me, and I would go into the wave. I would just be in the wave. And I think the dehydration, like on a vision quest, it helps you let go. And then I realized that it's really not good for my body. I need to drink and keep my blood sugar up, and get the shade and all that stuff. But there was still this calling, this desire to leave this form and go be in a greater form. Whether it's nature, whether it's water, whether it's music, whether it's a meditation. Do you ever do your meditations and all of a sudden you're out in the universe?
Oh,
Kind of like the Tibetan monks when they're
So what I think about is those moments when it is just so intense that there's just this clarity that comes about, and it's just this floating, lifted sensation, and it seems as if it's extended beyond that point of meditation into the day where there's just this shimmery type look to things, and it seems when I start to analyze it, that's when it starts to fade. How long is this going to last?
Right, it's not.
Can I hold on to it and then it just goes away as soon as I ask
Right.
that?
Yeah.
So those are beautiful moments.
Great, great. Miriam.
There is a word that hasn't come up, and I have been sitting here kind of listening for it, because the first time I felt it, I remember the place, I remember where I was standing, and I felt invincible. But I felt that I felt like I very timidly would say it to him, but it's like I'm not supposed to feel invincible. That was a while back. But everybody's saying the same thing, just that word hadn't come up, and it happens to be the word that I
Right,
thought
right, just like Quan was saying in the exercising or the extreme sports, you're invincible.
And it's usually when I'm in contact with dirt, I do my gardening on my butt, sliding, and with the plants. I am outdoors, I am invincible. I come in a space and I'm working on it. But, so yeah, I just want to share that it's an awesome feeling of being one with everything.
It is, it's a oneness, it's a connection. And for me, it takes me out of the mundane world of my problems and my thoughts and my concerns and my judgments and my to-do list and all of that. And from that vantage, I can look at all this other stuff and go, who cares?
Yes.
Who cares?
So small.
You can't touch me. That which I am cannot be touched, and that which I am is one with everything. It's really, really big. That's why I like the word magnificent and glorious spirit that is us. It is amazing. And when we touch that on a regular basis, it changes us. I think it's better than any kind of therapy, because therapy is just dealing with the story and our thoughts about it. I think that it really shifts us and lets us see the world with new eyes, and perhaps lets answers and solutions come into our experience that we had locked out from our other more limited vantage point. Yes, Michaela?
Another reason, once I was like in this praying state while I was sleeping, and I was like, where am I?
Right, do you ever look at yourself from up on the ceiling?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes, are you ever aware that you're dreaming and sleeping?
Yes.
I mean, isn't that just weird? It's like, who is watching my thoughts while I'm asleep? And where are you? Me. Where am I when I am there?
Where did that come from?
Pardon me?
And where did all that come from?
And where did all of that come from? When you can stop being narrow-minded and open up your sense of who you are. And again, you're not going to get it all by a long shot, but my goodness, we can get a lot more than, oh, this person said that about me, or this has come in the mail, and what does it mean, and I thought this was going to happen, and now it didn't. If we can get beyond that just a little bit, to where we're not locking it in with our judgments and our fears and our anxiety and our focus on it and our enlivenedness of that. If we can let go of that a little bit and embrace that greater I am, then everything has a chance to shift. Because we're recreating our experience every second. I mean, they say it's every nanosecond, which somebody wrote that out on the whiteboard once, and it went all the way across the whiteboard what a nanosecond was. So if we could just let go the grip on our life the way that it is now, and embrace something that doesn't care about that. It just doesn't care. When we pass over, we don't care about, whether or not the car had a leak in the tire, or what Aunt Josie said about Uncle Fred. We don't care about that. There's a whole different level of reality, and it's not limited to being out of this world. I think that our job is to bring it into this world and to experience this world from that greater level that says, I created it. I can do anything. Not from I can't do my affirmation, I gotta to-do shit, my goals, and I'm gonna do it. Not like that. Like this. Doesn't have to have words, doesn't have to have a plan, doesn't have to feel like anything anybody here said, except my guess is that there will be themes. There will be themes that we feel better. There will be things that there's an expanded sense of who we are. And there's always, for me, that sense that I've become bigger than my problems, to the point where my problems just don't matter anymore. It's going to work out. If not now, then later. But, in a million years, it will have worked out. I don't need to freak out about it. What I need to do is disengage from it and open up to that greater whatever that is what I am. And it's so important for us to get that. This is not a teaching about working the law. This is not a teaching about demonstrating. It is a teaching about being the presence of Spirit. And as you are the presence of Spirit, everything falls into place in direct alignment with what the presence of Spirit is. Prosperity, health, wholeness, love, joy, everything has to show up that way. And if it doesn't show up, it wasn't in alignment with that. And from that space, we don't care anyway. Susan.
I'll let it go for now.
Okay, okay. This is going to be the last one, Michaela.
Okay. Another thing that I really, really love when I have this extreme experience with the divine and how it comes through it, I imagine it coming through the palms of my hands when I'm meditating.
Sweet.
Like the palms of my hands and branching out to the fingers. Like,
Very nice.
Like it's coming out to the.
Did somebody teach you that, or did you have that on your own?
Like, you know how tree roots are?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel my fingers are like, and then they branch out like that.
Great. Did someone teach you that, or did you come up with that on your own?
Well, it was just me coming up with that. I just visualize it.
It's wonderful.
And then it goes.
You are an amazing person. Yes, she is. Who else? This is important. This is an important step that a lot of people try to want to gloss over. You can tell. I can always tell with my practitioners who are not doing their spiritual work. I can always tell.
I do. There are times that I resist being quiet, doing my reading, writing, meditating, whatever it is. And not that I have to compare it, but it's such a blessing that that is all I need to do to be so fabulously fine. And I do make judgments and comparisons, but there are people who need to be hooked up to life support systems and medication, which is a miracle in itself that it's available. All I need to do is whatever I need to do at the moment. Read, write, be still. And I was actually talking about it to somebody yesterday, and when I'm in that zone, there is so much inside of me, I really feel like I need to scream it out or pick up a phone or share it, or like I'm the only one that knows this, but I want to tell other. I want to have a soapbox and go on a corner sometimes, and I can understand the people that do that, whatever their beliefs are. They just can't keep it to themselves. So this center, this teaching, you, this class, what I do and what has brought me here really is my life support system, and I'm not using it in words. I mean, I need to have my doses of that and to hook into it in any way that I know I'm thinking it's coming into me, but it's also finding the way to let it come out of me, and whatever the process. That's how I feel.
And if you ever want to do a workshop or teach a class, you know, you have a lot of experience under your belt.
I do.
Who did you study with personally?
Oh my God.
Brian Weiss?
Everybody, who?
Brian Weiss?
I did workshops with him. He chose me in one of his workshops, and I could remember, like I'm looking at you, just what my visions of past life were. Everybody from Ram Dass to Louise Hay, and I mean, I actually wrote a list one day as part of my gratitude list to see these who I consider just great ones.
Well, you carry a lot of history, personal history of this transformative movement.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good thing for you to share.
Okay.
What I learned from Louise Hay, what I learned from Ram Dass.
And
Let me tell you one day, me and Das.
I remember one of the funniest things he said. He said when he would introduce all the strange people that came into his life to his father would go, oh, you know, another strange person. He said, and then when he began to introduce his unembodied friends to his father said, enough already.
Jamie?
I was just thinking, it's like, we were sort of just talking about existence, our existence.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, what are we doing here? Who are we? If, in order for us to be here at this moment, then somehow the entire essence of the divine must be us. What do we do with that? Do we chalk it away a little bit? Okay, that's a fine fact that I can pull out at a cocktail party. Or do we open up and embrace that and go on a journey that can take us beyond, all thoughts of good and bad and right and wrong and problems and solutions and move into a state of living life that is transformative. And if something shows up that used to freak me out and it doesn't freak me out anymore, I don't care if it shows up or not. I don't have to say, well, thank God I've grown past where those things show up. No, it just doesn't freak me out anymore. Oh, somebody's calling saying that they're gonna shoot my dog, burn a cross, that I'm going to hell and taking you all with them, with us and with me and things like that. I don't care. I talked with Bliss a long time ago. If you're gonna go early, go ahead and go so I don't get too attached to you. She stopped leaving the property then. If you're gonna get hit by a car, go ahead and do it now so that we can just get it over with and we don't have to drag this whole love affair out. She doesn't go out in the street anymore. She doesn't put herself in danger, and whenever she goes, it will be her choice. Whatever means she chooses. So I'm okay with that. If somebody burns a cross on our lawn, I'm just gonna call the paper and get a bunch of good PR out of it. And if we're all going to hell, I'm good with that. So I don't have to say that there won't be any issues, but the issues are not bigger than me. I'm bigger than them. It's like when I attributed it to Michael Beckwith, but then somebody told me he got it from somebody else. Stop telling God about your big problems, start telling your problems about your big God. And I would take that to just be the big God. And then the big God doesn't have problems, doesn't care about the problems. Everything is part of a divine unfoldment in love and joy, period, end of story. If you don't see the end of it, it's just because we're not done. If you don't have the answer to your problem, it's just because you don't have the answer to your problem. Doesn't mean there is no answer, you just don't have it yet. If it's time for you to have it, you'll have it. We are half-baked cakes. So stop opening up the oven and being, wringing your hands about how it doesn't look right. It's not supposed to look right yet. We're still baking. Everything is still fine. And when we move into that greater sense of consciousness, we open up the doors wide to have all kinds of solutions come in. All kinds of answers to come in. All kinds of intuitive guidance to come in. It's wonderful.
One of the speakers I've been listening to talks about having a ticket and you're standing at the train station. You know the train is coming. It's gonna be there, so just be patient. It's gonna
be. Don't freak out that the train's not here.
But I think one of the things that's really helped me a lot is just to be thankful every day for what I have. Just remember, we have so much to be thankful for if we just remember and give gratitude every day.
Right. One of my jokes to me and John is, well, that's a first world problem. It's too hot in here. First world problem. Oh, it's too cold in here. First world problem. You're running out of hot water. First world problem. We do. We have so much to be grateful for. Everything is unfolding perfectly. We are orchestrating our lives, and if we are orchestrating it into dead ends, just be aware that that's all we're doing. And pull our awareness out, take a deep breath, open up, look around inside of us, and find the way that we want to go. It's amazing. All that we are given, the ways that we are supported, the way that we are guided and directed into having the life of our dreams, if we would stop trying to do long enough to really get the being. If you do, all you're going to have is doo-doo. Still gonna laugh. It's about being. That's why my license plate says be more. Has for 25 years. Says be more. Because if you want to have more in your life, then you have to first be more. That's from the textbook. If you want the world without to change, you have to change the world within. If we want to grow our lives outside, grow our money, grow our business, grow our experiences, we have to grow ourselves inside. And as we grow ourselves inside and get that there's something amazing and magnificent and glorious that is us, then that shows up on the outside. That's why I say if you have an opportunity to be generous, take it. You know, if you have an opportunity to do something, go do it. Don't say, oh, I'm too tired. Don't be too tired. You're really not too tired. If you get up off the couch and go to the rock concert or whatever, you will find a huge amount of energy is released in you. But if you sit on the couch and go, I'm too tired to do anything, then even that what you have will be taken away from you. You know, you will become just pathetic. So don't do that. Trust that there is something in you that is more than enough for whatever has shown up. That in reality, the only thing that could have showed up because there's something within you. You can't have stuff on the outside that you don't have on the inside. So if you have something on the outside, you've got the wherewithal inside of you to handle it. So venture out in faith. Well, I really want to start this business. I really want to do this thing, but I don't know if I should. I don't know if I can. I don't know if it'll be right. If you couldn't, if you shouldn't, if it's not right, it wouldn't have shown up. You wouldn't have that thought. So the fact that you have that thought means you have whatever you need to pull it off. Have a little trust. Have a little faith. Prove that to yourself. Stretch. Grow. Challenge yourself. Don't live by other people's rules. Stretch time. Have things happen differently so that you get to have a good time. Why is it that some people live their lives happy, having fun, and other people live their lives miserable? It's the people. So if you want to live your life happy, having fun, then do that. But you've got to have a happy, fun person inside. You've got to grow into that. You've got to stretch into that. You've got to always know that you have more than enough. If you want to give the person on the side of the road $20, give them $20. The world will not stop because you did that. Oh, well, I've only got $20. You know, there's only $20 in circulation on the entire planet. And if I give you that $20, the entire economic complex will disintegrate. No, you'll get another $20. You'll probably get more. What, Nancy?
I had that experience. I did hand somebody on the side of the road $20. And I got so much out of watching her skip over to her friends and tell them, oh, look what I got.
Aren't you the person that went home and found a $200 check in your mailbox that day? Now, in order for her to have a $200 check in her mailbox, things had to happen in the past. Oh, the past is the past. You can't change the past. Of course she did. She changed it at the moment that she handed the $20 bill. Things in the past changed so that the now moment changed. We are so much bigger than any of these ideas that we have about what can and cannot be. We're so much bigger. There's such a light. You know, we're all here for a reason. There's a life for us to live. I don't want us to miss it. I don't want us to give in to social pressure, to be boring and to be limited and to be dull. Let's be excited. Let's be unlimited. Let's be wild in our spirituality. Let's twirl like the dervishes in our joy and in our living and in our creating of our reality. But to do that, you have to have a pretty big world within. And that's your job. Feel it. Get a sense of it. Use whatever tools you do to get a sense of it. Did you ever look at a fire and all of a sudden you were just out of your body? I love fire. I love big fires.
Bonfires.
I love bonfires. That's one of the reasons I love the firewalks, is because I get to take care of the fire. It's a big fire. And I love that because it calls me to something greater than who I knew myself to be. And so that's the journey. So over the next 2 weeks, check yourself out. When do you leave the confines of your humanness and move into your divinity? Notice that. Build on it. Open to it. Work it. It's great. It is who you have come here to be. It is the life that you are meant to live, and it's filled with joy, it's filled with prosperity, it's filled with health, and it's filled with happiness. And if your life isn't filled with those things, you're missing out. I don't want you to miss out. I want you to open up and grab what is yours. So practice that, and when I come back in 2 weeks, we'll talk about it. Okay? Any questions, any comments?
Yeah, would you repeat that, if you say, check yourself out, and I missed a couple of words.
Notice when you move from your humanity into your divinity, and then build on that. Even if it means you need to schedule a trip to the beach every 8 weeks, so that you can lose yourself in the movement of the water.
Oh, there you go.
Olivia. I don't know. After I come back, we've got 2 more weeks of the class. So read until you're done reading. You're good. Take out what you're going to get. Hold it in your hand. I love baskets that have money appear in them all by themselves. And take a deep breath and open. We are so much bigger than money. Money is an outer reflection. The spirit that we are is all of creation. Prosperity beyond our wildest dreams. Not only grains of sand on the beach, but planets in the heavens, suns in the sky, stars and form. The spirit that is us is huge beyond huge. And so we open up to that bigness within us, that prosperity and abundance within us. It cannot be denied, it cannot be stopped. It is our nature, it is what we are. And so as that moves through us, we give from that place our bigness, our magnificence. And in that giving, I know that all of the prosperity and the abundance of all of life goes with this gift. It blesses us, it returns back to us. It blesses this center and touches the lives of millions of people. I know that we are more than we thought, and we think anew. That whatever we need, we have. Any answer to a problem, any answer to a question, any solution to a problem is ours now. And I know that we are loved and lifted by all of life. All of spirit is who we are now. And our lives reflect that bigness, that growth, that prosperity, and that abundance. So I know that each and every one of us come together this night to make the Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is.
So it is.
Just hold that energy. Hold that energy. Because the entire universe, which is pretty freaking big, the entire universe is supporting us right here and right now. All of love is loving us. All of life is lifting us. The clarity, the guidance, the wisdom of every moment, of every experience is ours now. Spirit is us, as us, is us now. And I know that everything in these baskets is blessed. Every time we give anything, that which we are goes with our giving. And I see us as light, pouring forth from each one of us, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling, all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. As Spirit moves in our life, it touches us, it blesses us, and it heals us. And then it goes on out to circle this globe and shoot out into the heavens to touch and bless and heal every bit of beingness and livingness. Always here and always now. Touching every one of us here tonight, everyone who has ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is.
So it is.
I love you guys. Have a wonderful week.